Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into the brand new HBO series for Harry Potter. We're going to break down what this new adaptation is really bringing to the table and how it's aiming to be the most faithful version of this story yet. Okay, so let's get right into it. Harry Potter is back, but what's actually different this time around? Well, with a full season for each book, this new series has the room to breathe, to really dig into the details, the characters, and the tones that the original films, just didn't have time for. The goal here seems pretty clear, to create an adaptation that feels like you're literally stepping right into the pages of the books. And it all kicks off at number 4, Privet Drive. Right from the jump, the series is leaning hard into the darker, almost Roald Dahl-like vibe of the early books. It's really shining a spotlight on the deep neglect and the emotional abuse that defined Harry's entire childhood, long before he ever found out he was a wizard. And we see this in these tiny, book-accurate details that just speak volumes. You've got the little drawings Harry scribbled on the walls of his cupboard, trying to make it his own. His only toys are Dudley's broken hand-me-downs. And then there's the detail about his messy hair, this little nod to his dad, James, that magically grows back no matter how many times Petunia tries to chop it off. It's our first little glimpse of the magic simmering inside him. And this commitment to the books, it goes way beyond just the setting. The series is making a huge effort to bring back the character motivations and the nuances that got kind of simplified or even cut from the films. This gives us a much richer understanding of why these characters do what they do. What's really fascinating here is how the show seems to be putting Aunt Petunia back in the spotlight. The movies mostly focused on Uncle Vernon's loud, booming rage, but the books describe this quieter, more poisonous cruelty from Petunia. And it's not just random meanness, it's all rooted in a lifetime of resentment and jealousy towards her magical sister Lily. And even a detail that seems small, like casting a blonde actress for Petunia, just like in the books, actually adds so many layers. The trailer also seems to really emphasize her eyes, which creates this powerful visual tie to Harry's own eyes, the famous eyes he got from his mom. And this becomes absolutely crucial later on because we learn those eyes are the key to the love charm that protects him. Oh, and it's not just character stuff. We're finally getting to see all these amazing book elements that never made it to the big screen. We're talking about the Sorting Hat's full songs, which actually predict the dangers of the school year. We're getting Professor Binns and his ridiculously boring history of magic class. And a much bigger role for the Hogwarts ghosts, including, yes, Peeves the Poltergeist. And more Quidditch. All right, so let's talk about the world building itself. Beyond just what happens, the series is paying super close attention to when it all happens, which means planting the story firmly in its original time period. Remember how the original movies felt kind of timeless? Like they could be happening anytime? Well, this series is doing the exact opposite. It's embracing a very specific 1990s UK vibe. The story starts in 91 and ends in 98, so the fashion, the haircuts, the culture, it all works to ground the wizarding world in a real, specific moment in time, just like the books did. And this obsession with the text goes all the way down to the architecture of Hogwarts itself. So those iconic moving staircases, yeah, that was an invention for the movies. In the books, they're just described as being super confusing and disorienting. The show is also set to give us the Gryffindor common room with its separate floors for boys and girls. Another little detail pulled straight from the page. Okay, so you can't have a new adaptation without a new cast, right? And boy, have they assembled an incredible lineup of actors to step into some of the most iconic roles, well, ever. I mean, the talent here is just off the charts. You've got the legendary Nick Frost as Hagrid, Janet McTeer as McGonagall, and the amazing John Lithgow as Albus Dumbledore. We even have Warwick Davis coming back to play Professor Flitwick. But there's one casting choice in particular that's really sparked a lot of conversation. And that would be the casting of the phenomenally talented Papa Essiadu as Severus Snape. Now, nobody is questioning his acting chops. He's incredible. But the source material we're looking at points out the online discourse they kicked up right after this was announced. So, this is where it gets really interesting from a storytelling perspective. The choice raises some big questions about what happens later. The source asks, how is the show going to handle those flashback scenes where we see Snape being tormented by James Potter and his friends? If the other actors are white, which is expected, it could add a whole new racial layer to that bullying that was never in the original story. And that dynamic starts right away, in the very first story. I mean, for the entire first book, Harry and Ron are totally convinced that Snape is the bad guy, constantly accusing him. The source we're explaining here notes the concern over the optics of having two young white students relentlessly targeting their one black professor. It's a really complex thing that the show's creators are going to have to navigate carefully. And speaking of complexity, it's pretty much impossible to talk about this new series without acknowledging the real-world context that it's being made in, specifically the ongoing controversy around the author, J.K. Rowling.
Right. So the source material directly gets into this. This show is being produced while its creator is the subject of a really intense public debate because of her comments on social media about transgender issues and the causes she supports.
And the actors involved, well, they're aware of it. John Lithgow, our new Dumbledore, actually called the author's views ironic and inexplicable. He pointed out that the story itself is a meditation of kindness and acceptance, and explained that he took the role because of those positive themes that are right there in the books.
The host of the source video we're explaining here kind of puts it like this, framing it as a very modern challenge of having to hold two conflicting truths in your head at once. He acknowledges that covering this show means engaging with work from an artist whose actions he disagrees with, but he also sees it as a chance to celebrate the amazing art of the hundreds of other people working on the production. And so that really leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? Can this new, more faithful adaptation let the story's powerful themes of love, of friendship, of acceptance, finally stand on their own? Can it redefine Harry Potter for a whole new generation and let them connect with the magic, separate from its creator? I guess we're all just going to have to wait and see.